All right, when I was in high school, I don't know if any of you ever encountered this experience, but there was a corner of campus where students would congregate at lunch, and they usually had one thing in common. They were students who liked to be isolated. And it's kind of ironic because it was this corner of campus that we called the D Quad. Pretty much stood for Don't Talk to Me. It was a place for kids to be isolated together who just didn't have anywhere to go. These are the kinds of kids who would walk the halls of campus with their headphones in and their hood over their head, or they would be the last kids to be chosen for group projects. And to me, personally, I feel like that is a sad way to go through your high school years. High school is already a tough time in people's lives, and for these young students to feel like they have no one to connect with was heartbreaking to me. I decided to start eating lunch in the D Quad, and I got to hear a lot of different stories and different perspectives and things these students like to do outside of high school where they really just didn't feel connected on campus. And I felt like it was my goal to make coming to school an exciting thing for these students. Unfortunately, we have this increasing trend of avoidant behavior in our society. Neither of us likes to be the first person to say hello to a stranger or to ask someone how their day is going. It's hard. We even take such extreme measures, like when we're walking down the hall, we pull out our phone and pretend to text someone or just look at the screen in hopes that we don't have to make eye contact. And it's hard to have this avoidant behavior when it should be our mission to make people feel welcomed and to make our years here on earth the friendliest years we can possibly make. So, this increasing trend of avoidant behavior leads to things like incivility, neglect, and disconnectedness. And I'm here to tell you that the solution to that is if everyone wore a name tag all the time, everywhere, forever. If we all wore name tags. I know, it seems like a very small solution to a lot of big problems. I mean, we're talking incivility, segregation, hesitation, we're talking strangers. There are so many problems that contribute to this avoidant behavior, and name tags are the solution. It's so simple. So throughout the next few minutes, we're going to discuss where this avoidant behavior originated, how technology and mass media only makes being in real life even worse for us, and how name tags are really the solutions and benefits of that, and how we can all connect a little bit more. So first of all, where avoidant behavior originates. Most of us in this room were born in the 1990s. I know there are two exceptions to that, but most of us were young children at the time 9/11 happened. And so we remember it as a series of events. But there's actually a scholar, Dr. Marian D'Souza, who writes about the impact of 9/11 on kids our age, although we don't remember it possibly as clearly as our parents do. She says that 9/11 actually contributes to this subconscious notion that we have that the world is divided into two types of people. There's us and there's a them. And people who qualify as us are afraid to talk to people who are in the them group because we're fearful of interactions. And this stems from the way our parents internalized 9/11, the way we saw the news in the aftermath of 9/11, and the mass images of humanity struggling to recuperate from disasters like 9/11. So we have this them versus us approach to life, and it makes it really hard for us to connect. Name tags cross cultural barriers. They cross barriers of us being afraid to talk to one another, and it's an easy way to humanize ourselves just by wearing something as simple as our name on our shirts. Connection is a lot easier when we have that. Along those lines, another thing that contributes to this avoidant behavior is the increasing presence of technology in our lives. So when I was in 8th grade, Twitter was fairly new at the time, and I thought I could create a Twitter account to follow every move of my favorite celebrity. At the time, it was Adam Lambert, a season 8 contestant on American Idol. I just thought he was the greatest person in the world, and I thought, wow, there's this mechanism where I could follow someone without them knowing me or without having to have any personal relationship with them, similar to the way maybe you guys follow a celebrity on Twitter, or I don't know if you've ever encountered when you're flipping through Instagram and suddenly you realize you're 123 weeks down on someone's Instagram and you're trying not to like a photo from 2009, and it's just like Like suddenly you've been cyber stalking this person seriously, and there's actually a name for this now. It's called a parasocial relationship, and it's a result of a one-sided relationship where we feel that it's lower risk to connect with someone, but we can still be a part of their lives. It's super interesting. There are many studies done on it, but one I'm going to cite today is Dr. Youngmin Bake. He's actually a cyber psychologist, which prior to this I never knew there was such a thing, but he looks at the adverse effects of technology and the way we interact with each other because of our social media sites and because of these one-sided relationships where we're able to follow someone without them even knowing. He says this creates a very disconnected society, and it makes people in our age bracket have this strange notion of the way relationships in real life should be, even though that's really not how they should be at all, and that's not how they've been up until very recently with the explosion of social media, smartphones, and everything at our fingertips. So a way we can combat this is if we're all willing to unplug and plug into the social network by wearing a name tag. It's a face-to-face social network. There's a man named Scott Ginsberg who lives in New York. He has been wearing a name tag since November 2nd, 2004. That's almost 11 years straight of wearing a name tag. He believes so strongly that wearing a name tag would make the world a better place that in 2008 he actually got his name tag tattooed on his chest. This is something he decided to do because there was a fire in his apartment building and he was in the shower at the time, and he ran outside with a towel wrapped around his waist, and he realized he wasn't wearing his name tag, which he had stood faithfully by for the past 4 years. So at that point, he decided if there's ever another fire while I'm in the shower in my apartment building, I'm going to want to have my name tag on. The paramedics need to know who I am. The neighbors across the street should feel comfortable coming and connecting with me in this time of anguish. And I think it's really my responsibility to be that person and to be someone that people can connect with. So he got it tattooed on his chest. His first work written on name tags, although he has 24 now, is called the Tag Manifesto, and it lists the top 18 problems in society that wearing name tags would completely eliminate. I'm just going to go through a couple, but first and foremost, he says name tags would eliminate strangers. It would make us all more willing to connect. Currently, you might have ever experienced pushing a button to open the elevator doors. You walk in and most sane people then turn around and face their backs to everyone else in the elevator. If you've ever tried to press the button to open the elevator, the doors open, you walk in and you remain standing facing the crowded elevator. I know, we chuckle because it's almost cringeworthy. It would be a very weird experience because we're all socialized to not connect with strangers. If you walked into that elevator and Crystal was wearing a name tag, I could easily feel welcome to start a conversation with Crystal and ask her how her day's going, even if we had never met before. And that's the kind of connection Scott is talking about when he says it would eliminate strangers. He also says wearing name tags would eliminate exclusion. Exclusion, he says, is due in part to the fact that we don't feel accountable for our actions. So if we see someone alone, we don't feel like it's our responsibility to go and talk to that person or make them feel like they have a friend because we're anonymous. We don't know them, they don't know us, and so there's no real social connection there. But he says if we were wearing name tags, we automatically feel more accountable to be the person to take that person out of their loneliness and just to talk to them. Granted, some people like to be alone, and a lot of times that's myself as well. But he says it's our responsibility as human beings to take it upon ourselves to make people's time on earth more enjoyable. And that all begins by wearing a name tag. Ultimately, it's the end of social conflict. He says conflict arises from this avoidant behavior, and that when we're able to step past that, we can make people feel more welcome, and there's just a lot more friendliness overall. So today, we've talked about some issues with avoidant behavior, where that originated, and how we can stop it. We've also discussed how mass media and technology and our increasing use of social networks impacts our parasocial relationships and how we view the world in a one-sided way. And so I'd like to end by, if you'll all just look under your desk, I have a little surprise for you.
Whoa.
So you all have a name tag. You don't have to put it on now, but you're welcome to, of course. I just thought, Jesse, you chose the wrong day to switch your seat, my friend. Yeah, it's under that one right there. Nice. Yeah, this really, it was only going to work. Most of you sat in the same seat, but a couple of you didn't. Of course, you can wear it today. I see a lot of you are wearing it already, but the point is, it's hard for us to talk the talk. It's a lot more important for us to be able to walk that talk. And if we can just try wearing a name tag one day, you'll see at the grocery store, your cashier will connect with you better. When you go out to eat at a restaurant, your server will call you by name. It's so interesting the way people approach you and the way that changes your interactions. And I just feel like we should all be responsible to be friendly and to make the environment around us a welcoming environment, and that all starts with wearing a name tag.
Best surprise
Look, I
I'm so happy. I'm like, oh my god.
Jesse, what did you think?
did Mr. Kirkham get one?
So, with your attention device, I feel like it caught my attention personally. I feel like with all of us, because even at all our high schools, I feel like there's been a similar situation with like that formula that you mentioned. So I feel like that really caught my attention and set the tone for the whole speech. I like how you interacted with us with like putting our phone, like looking down or stalking someone's IG, which I feel like we're all guilty for at some point. Your intro is very detailed. I knew exactly how your speech was going to go. Your delivery, you were not nervous at all. You seemed very confident. You made clear eye contact with everybody. Your transitions were clear. I knew exactly when you went from topic to topic. It was your speech was very organized. What else do I have to say? Your conclusion, I feel like it really connected with us, especially with the name tags. How you accounted for every single one of us. I thought that was really a very good ending to the speech.
Sid was so nice that they had their name tags.
I know. I had to get them from them.